We got Colt Roberts here from X Factor. Colt, your impressions on the competition out there?
Oh, it's awesome. World Cup, everybody brings their A game. There's no doubt about it. This is the culmination of the NXL League. Everybody forgets about who won the other events, but everybody knows who won World Cup. So everybody obviously has been training very, very hard for this. Philly's come out and played as well as they have all year. The Russians against Infamous, beating an undefeated team and just blowing them out of the water. That was a big upset, so obviously they're on top of their game.
Yeah. Okay, so you're looking at Philly and their mental ability to take it to the next level right now, which they really haven't been able to do in the past couple of years. They've had, flashes of brilliance. And this is a tough league, so it's not like they're playing slouches. There are no slouches in this league. This isn't like, the NXL's had a lot of teams past couple of years, but the amount of teams has gone down, but the level of play has gone significantly up.
Absolutely.
So talk to us a little bit, because I'm sure there's a lot of X Factor games out there as we're seeing Philly get into that high huddle. Knowing if if you could just put Boston out right now, that would just not only do wonders for their confidence, but really to seal the deal for Boston, and again, who's underperformed this year. All right, so X Factor fans, they want to know what's up with you guys. So what happened to you guys this event?
I mean, we played hard. Philly came out. They're a great team. Obviously, they played very, very well. We had a few penalties that kind of hurt us, especially in that third match. We got a 5-minute major. They ran up the score 6-1. We had to come back and battle back. So, it was a tough fight. We got a few unfortunate calls, I felt, from the referees, but, that's the way it is. That happens to every team. And it just wasn't our time.
Chargers.
Yeah, San Diego fans out there.
Yeah. All right. So I had you up here and we were talking before, and you'd asked me, honestly, all right, well, you watched that game. What was it? What happened? And I was like, honestly, dude, you guys, it was 8-5 and 5 minutes left. And I was looking at you guys in the huddle, in the pits, seeing you guys' body language, and then the body language walking out. And then the points that you played after that, and I was like, man, that's not X Factor. You guys were not dominating your gunfights. You guys weren't playing with that intensity that you guys are known for. Then you went out the next game and played great. But then it just kind of stumbled a little bit. What do you think is going to be that next level for you guys, man? Because you're one of those teams where everyone, and a lot of guys are starting to look at your roster and realize that, okay, yeah, we know you. People know Colt Roberts. You've been around for a long time, and when they know your talent, they appreciate it. They know Dixon, they know Archie, they don't know Todd Morrow, they don't know Dusty Odell, they don't know those guys, and those guys stepped up for you guys. And I was looking at the kill count. Todd Morrow had like 11 confirmed kills in one game, and that's a high. We're still trying to figure out exactly. Again, confirmed kill would be you win a gunfight,
right.
You run a guy down, you run two guys down. A lot of kills are going to get lost in the watch because it's so chaotic. But obviously, you can look out there and know that guy shot that guy a lot of times, and those guys were feasting for you guys. So. You got a lot of young guys that still are kind of coming into their games. What's going to be that next level? You got about 40 seconds for the start of this first point.
Honestly, I think it's just going to be the mental side of the game for us. Like you said, our intensity levels changed. It seems like we have to get our backs against the wall before we actually come out and fight. As you saw, we're down 6-1 at the half, and that was the point where it was like, we got to do something now. We need to get to the level to where we don't have to have that pressure to come to our top game.
Well, maybe you guys are like Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin, for a while, he had to get punched in the face 3 or 4 times before he realized he was in a fight. And because of that, he lost some fights. Now he's the champion, So it's like, is that kind of be it, you think?
I hope so. I don't know what to tell you other than we just need to, work on a few issues in our game, and I think we will be a top team.
I think you guys will. You are a top team, So it's not like you guys have never won an event or anything. Okay, on the breakout right here, we see Tim Montresor getting out to that, who's really elevated his game, become a leader on that squad, the leader of the squad. You're looking at him right now.
Looks like Berdnikov got shot out of the snake corner, so it's G1 for Philly now.
So G1 for Philly, and Jason Edwards sliding out. See Russians, their insert bunker on the snake side.
Actually, that's G2 for the Russians now. Berdnikov and Heyman Chapman both shot out. And the Russians have shot 1 Philly American.
They're coming down, the Russians on the Dorito side of the field. So wrestling for control in the beginning of the game, what's that like? Walk me through that mentally. It's a start of the game. It's 0-0. Things have happened in the past. You're trying to stay focused. Do you guys come out, as these teams, trying to spread wide, getting shot? but they're wrestling to exert their will on the other team. What do you guys talk about that when you guys are getting ready for your game?
Well, we try and look over, what worked for us the previous match, what didn't work for us, and how are we losing the games? Against Philly, our first match we came out there, we tried to go inside out on them. And what I mean by that is played inside bunkers, try to control lanes, and then get a quick kill and then, capitalize on that. We realized that we needed to get wide on them quick and then just put the pressure on them in the middle, and that obviously worked for us the second game.
We're looking at Pantalev, just got shot by Montressor, and Montressor streaking all the way immediately past the 50-yard line, followed up by Jason Edwards. So better field position for the Russians as they cross across the 50-yard line on the Dorito side, but Tim now trying to get a shot cross field.
Russian getting shot out of the 50 Dorito. Now it looks like it's 2-on-1 or 3-on-1.
So the Russians trying to make something happen. Pridney, the last player left alive for the Russians, and good job by Tim, man. Tim, what do you think about Tim Montressor, man?
Tim's been around for a long time. I watched him back when he was on Tipman Effect, and at that time I wasn't even playing pro, but he just catches your eye. He's very impact, very good player.
He's all over the place too. He's a really good insert player. One point I'm watching him fly into the Dorito or down the snake and make it happen over here when somebody dies. All right, we got an interview with Tim. Let's check it out.
My name is Tim Montressor. Play for the Philadelphia Americans. I've been on the team since 2004, the last year that we won the World Cup. So I didn't play with them in 2003. Took my beatings in 2003 with Detroit Thunder. But I came over and right before Mardi Gras in 2004, right after Detroit Thunder fell apart. I currently live in Latrobe. I moved there 3 years ago from Detroit. I run the All-American Paintball Park, which is our home field. That's about it. That's my summation right there.
All right, so that's Tim Montressor, man, breaking it down for him. He started out in Detroit, and he did it the right way, man. Came up the ranks, proved his ability, and then slowly became, the leader of the Philly Americans. That squad had Daryl Trent running the show for a long time, and he kind of, had to fall back to start working on the Lux, and which is, an awesome gun, and then. They kind of floundered for a little while, as they're trying to find their way and trying to, and they're playing terrible, but it's just tough out there in this league, and you really need a group of core guys. They got Ryan Moorhead. They got, the Gardners have always been really good at supporting their players and making sure they have a home. They actually literally have a team house home, literally.
Right.
All right, and the breakout right here, Konstantin Fedorov, that was another big move for them, picking him up. Even though he struggled in the beginning of the year, finally starting to find his form again. And they're up 1-0 right now against Boston, trying to put Boston out of this tournament. Boston, they want to repeat their World Championship form 2 years ago. They've had some changes, too. They have an American line, a Russian line, and Heyman Chapin breaking wide, trying to get out there. You see Bart Blonsky loses a gunfight against Grant McClellan. And Fedorov dying out of that back spot as well, so it's just Grant now, and there goes Matt Blonsky. Now, an interesting thing about that first game, Matt Blonsky, to get the Russians to this point, was amazing. He had 11 confirmed kills in one game, and now that last game, and he was silent. He had a penalty, and we didn't really see much out of him, so he's going to need to step up for the Russians. Oh, and then now Matt getting a little sloppy, trying to get into Snake 1, but doesn't matter because Heyman Chapman steps up on that Dorito side of the field. And Heyman Chapman able to win the point for the Russians to tie it up. So Heyman's going to run that flag in, and with 10:04 left on the clock. Heyman Chapman, he came out of the trauma squad. He reminds me, and it was interesting because I didn't know who Heyman Chapman was, and I went out to watch Boston practice Trauma, actually. Trauma, rest in peace. I watched them watch Trauma as, they were on kind of the downslope of their career, so the Russians were, having a good practice against them, and one of the guys out there that was having a good practice was this kid who, body language-wise, kind of reminded me of John Richardson. He's got that heavy shouldered swagger, to him. Very athletic, able to make big moves. And he impressed me. And I was asking, who's that kid? And they were like, that's Heyman Chapman. And I was like, well, where'd he come from? And he actually came out of that trauma camp.
Right.
Didn't work out with Trauma. And then he got on the Russians, and he's one of those guys that this is what he does. Russians give him enough money that, he's able to do this. He's also played for other teams, too, as a guest star. And now he's one of those guys that's trying to prove himself that he is one of the elite players. Now, as far as them running a Russian line and an American line, how do you think that's worked for the Russians, for the Boston Red Legion?
I think it's gone extremely well. Obviously, there's always going to be that communication barrier. The Russian Legion, obviously, their native tongue is Russian, and some of the guys do speak very good English. However, most of the American guys don't speak Russian. They're starting to now, but initially I think that was a big gap as far as communication on the field. They switched to the American-Russian line, and they're more fluid together, it seems like.
And that fluidity is real important when you're dealing with a format as fast as this is. You need to be able to yell across the field, hey, guys, endure 1 immediately, if you can, or, and it's tough to do that if the guy doesn't speak English or you don't speak Russian, and they don't, so... Which is a tough thing for them. I mean, but they've been able to accomplish that. I mean, even when they had the American guys working in, and there's the best teams, and we talked a little bit about this last game. They do communicate on the field. But this format's so fast that you really got to just read it and sense it.
Right.
And we see immediately
Russia's
getting in there,
Dimma
trying to get into Snake 1. It looks like he got shot trying to get in there. And now Pantalev in there right after that. Good job by him. And
Moorhead also make a Dorito 1 on the other side.
Yeah, Moorhead into Dorito 2. I love watching Ryan play. His hair is always flopping all over the place.
And he's so exciting.
And he's so exciting. His body language is real wild, man. He's fast as hell, too, so he makes big moves. Tim Montresor now into Snake 1. God, Tim is playing the best paintball I've seen him play this tournament.
Tim has struggled for the latter half of this year, but he's definitely brought his A game to World Cup. That's what you want to bring it.
And that's big, man, because look at Dynasty, man. They didn't bring their A game.
Nope.
And they went home after 2 games, and they were the 1 seed. They lost to the 8th seed, Impact.
They're the only one to win 2 NXLs this year, weren't they?
Yeah, yep. That was their first 2 NXL wins, too, so they were really starting to look what everyone thought. And coming into this game as we're watching
Pantalev.
Pantalev in there, and Pantalev trying to get a shot on Moorhead cross field and just gunned up. Russian zone control is really impressive. They're great at shooting off the break, and they're great at locking zones down when they need to.
Absolutely, and they capitalize off their big moves. You may see a guy make some crazy ballistic move and get shot. However, there's a guy on the other side of the field that's also making a ballistic move, and as all the guns are turned, they're liable to run down 3 or 4 guys.
So he's still just zoned up on that Dorito side.
It looks like they might have lost Moorhead. They did lose Moorhead out of Dorito too. Now advantage Russians.
The slow game.
It is a slow
so
game.
Far. 1-1. Oh, Pantalev getting shot out of there.
At the same time, Russia makes a move to the other side, Dorito 3, now on the Philly side of the field.
Here goes Tim Montresor.
And Kirill here in the center Dorito.
Trying to get a shot on, looks like, trying to get a shot on Tim?
Yes.
Yeah, Kirill's holding it down. Kirill's another one of those undercover guys that, not a lot of people understand how good he is.
Oh, he's amazing. Very good player.
Here it comes Chad George. Chad George running through.
Getting shot.
Chad George runs Kirill down.
Looks like it's now a 2-on-1 situation. Maybe Dave Baines alive over there?
Dave Baines, not sure. Can't really tell, but it looks like O'Connell. O'Rourke in that center X.
Jason Edwards actually shooting the Russian player to win the point.
So nice job by Jason Edwards. Polishing it up, and O'Rourke grabbing that flag and going to walk it in. So really low-scoring match so far. Score's going to be 2-1 in favor of Philly. I'm impressed by Philly, man. They weren't scared of Boston.
You can't be scared of Boston. I mean, if you go into that kind of mentality, they're going to eat you alive.
Yeah, but I mean, it sinks in. I mean, it's just one of those things you constantly fight against. And but that's the focus.
Right.
I mean, yeah, and it's interesting, like, we did a series of interviews and talked to, like, when Tampa was playing Ironman, and, it was those younger guys, they want to knock those guys off their pedestal. They want to knock Oliver Lang off his pedestal, and then then that being said, then you interview Oliver, and he's like, yeah, okay, cool, let's see what you can do.
Right, bring it.
But and then Oliver also had an interesting thing to say, too, because Oliver had an interesting interview. We were talking about his character, because a lot of people, Oliver gets a lot of hate, and I guess anyone on top is going to get that sort of, you're going to get that negative flack to you. And I'm, really good friends with Oliver, and I played with him for a long time. And on the field, he's one type of person. Off the field, like when you're just around hanging out with him, and he doesn't have to have that, all of that pressure on him to be that, you know. be that spokesman, to be that guy. So he talked a lot about that and a lot about, people, trying to attack his character and trying to knock him off his pedestal. He had some interesting things to say about it. One of the things he said about the pedestal thing was he was like, you know what, I didn't get to where I was thinking I'm going to try to knock Chris Soy off his pedestal.
Right.
He didn't do that. It just kind of came naturally to him, organic. It was like it just kind of grew. He grew into that, He also said that, when people came to him and said, you're the best, he was like, I think Billy Sharansky's better than me,
Right.
So it's just interesting, and it's just stuff that, everyone has to deal with. I'm sure you have to deal with that too. A lot of people are like, oh, I could take Colt Roberts' spot, but that's part of it. That's any competitive sport. Look at the NFL. Look at the UFC. Look at boxing. Look at anything, even motocross, man. That is the nature of a competitive sport.
Sure.
How do you deal with that pressure, the focus? How do you focus?
I just ignore all that. I mean, if you're as good as me, congratulations. Come play with us. I'd be more than happy to have you.
Talk is cheap.
Absolutely. I'm not out there to prove anything. I worked hard to get where I'm at, and I hope all of you work as hard as I did and achieve your goals.
Yeah, I talked to one of these. I talked to one of these kids yesterday coming up ranks. Get a lot of kids coming up. We have 2 seconds before the start. Actually, say that for the next point as we watch it break out here. Pat Roberts getting in that insert. Aztec, and he's got Fedorov right behind him, and Bart Blonsky.
Russian shooting one quickly on break and possibly shooting Fedorov also.
And here powering up that center.
Heyman Chapman to the X.
So Heyman Chapman coming up to the X, followed by Justin Rabikoff.
J-Rab actually in Dorito too, it looks like.
So yeah, J-Rab all the way to the 40-yard line, Dorito. J-Rab battling down the tape, and referee.
Oh, and J-Rab takes one in the face.
So
Cross field, Jason Edwards with that blind shot.
Dude, Jason Edwards that's another guy that is underrated, man.
Oh, Jason Edwards is
honestly,
a phenomenal
on his
player.
game, seriously, I'm not just saying this because I need to talk about guys out here, but I've watched his rise, and he's just become so impressive, dude. Like, he's so clutch. He's very clutch.
Absolutely, and he can play anywhere on the field. He's one of the bigger guys, but he's so mobile and athletic that it surprises you.
Yeah. Watching Bart Blonsky right now trying to zone. Gunfighting right now. Him and Pat Roberts in a gunfight. Both of them mirrored up, trying to get to that snake. You see Bart Blonsky yelling to his brother. I'm pretty sure Bart was telling me how him and his brother speak Polish sometimes to each other.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. It's a lot easier to distinguish a different language down on the field with all these fans, yelling and screaming everything in the world.
Yeah, he said that he's actually been able to pick up some Russian easier because Polish and Russian is a similar language.
Right. Looks like Fedorov trying to fill out to the corner, getting shot. That wasn't too good of a move with Heyman Chapman sitting in the X, and Matt Blonsky also in that center Dorito.
Yeah, so Matt Blonsky, let's hope for the Russians, or for the Red Legion's sake, that he can step up, because he was stunning earlier on to help him get here, and then was kind of quiet the last game. So for him, if he plays well in this one, because him and his brother plays hot and heavy, as we see Heyman Chapman finishing it up here, and there's his brother grabbing that flag. So the Blonsky bros right there, and it's interesting because the way it's good they play together, because Matt's a lot more methodical.
Absolutely.
And is more of a calm player than Bart. Bart's frantic when he's in there. He's very aggressive, always riding the edge. And which works for him a lot of times, man. But it's good to have Matt back there. So that's the combo. If Bart can play on his game and Matt can follow him up, that's awesome. But if Bart's on his game and Matt's not following him up, or flip-flop that, then that side's going to struggle. That's any group of guys.
Sure.
So, yeah, talking about, a lot of young kids probably. All right, we're going to look at a replay real quick a couple points ago. All right, so we're looking at the Russian player in the back. And he's just look at him trying to wheel and deal, man. He's the last guy. And Dave Baines. Is that Dave Baines? I don't think that's Dave Baines.
Not sure. Oh, this is the 3-on-1 situation a couple points ago.
Yeah, 3-on-1. So Philly trying to press in here. And you see.
That's Mishka.
Yeah, Mishka getting shot out of that back corner. Yeah, Mishka, he's an amazing gunfighter, but, and his best game is pushing up, so they must have lost the guy, and he got stuck over there in that back spot. So good job by Philly to clean up that point. So it's all tied up to a piece with 2 minutes and 43 seconds left to go. And anyways, so I was talking, you got a lot of young guys, and we were talking about Ollie and just the nature of top level guys. Anybody, Alex Frage, anybody at all that's like one of the top 3 guys on your squad, people are headhunting for you, man.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. How do you deal with that? But, so I was talking to a younger player who plays D3, and he's pretty talented. He comes up to me, and he was just, talking about, I'm going to be the next this guy. I'm going to be the next that guy. This guy sucks. That guy sucks. It's like, and he wasn't necessarily that guy sucks, but it was like, and I understand his fire, and I appreciate, and you know what, that is the mentality you got to have, but really, dude, like, it's just go out and be the best you can be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't need to cut other people down to elevate yourself. You just need to go elevate yourself, and if you are going to go above them, it's by the skill of your gun.
Right. Looks like Philly taking the snake corner and making it. That's a big bunker to have at the beginning of the game. Also taking the Xbox and Dorito too very quickly. It's Philly. So I don't know if they've shot any Russian. Oh yes, they have shot one.
So they're
Russian.
running the American line over again. And there goes Bart Blonsky. Matt Blonsky getting shot out of that insert bunker, but Bart Blonsky getting up there in snake one, try to shoot across the field. Oh, looks like penalty on. I think there's a penalty on the board.
Must be on the Russians.
Looks like
nobody in the Philly box.
Yeah, penalty on the Russians. So Russians got a penalty. Might have been as soon as he walks around the bunker. Yeah, Bart Blonsky getting another penalty. So minor penalty. I'm sorry, Matt Blonsky getting another penalty, and it's just Bart, and he's about to get assassinated by Ryan Moorhead. He gets a couple extra in his back. He's going to have something to say to Ryan, but Ryan didn't know. He just come cleaning him out. So Boston going down a point against Philly. The score now 3-2 with under 2 minutes left to play, and Matt Blonsky having problems getting some minor penalties. And it's interesting because you look at the penalty spread here throughout the year, and when you're looking at you're looking at these teams and you're measuring those sort of penalties. Boston Red Legion, the least penalized team in the entire league.
Right.
You're looking at the Ironman. Ironman had 15 major penalties, 33 minor penalties. Now you go to the Russians, and so we're talking about the second and the third ranked team in the league coming into this event, and that's what these statistics reflect. Now, so Boston 5 and 20 major minor. Ironman had 15 major penalties and 33 minor penalties. They're the leader by far. So staying out of the box, and the question was asked, what is the single most important aspect of it here? Is it your funk guys having good games? Is it guys cleaning stuff up? Is it the game plan, strategy, mentality? All that's important. And I was talking to Rab about this, and I was talking about that, and Rab was like, to me, it's penalties. If you stay out of the box, you play clean, you're really going to give an advantage to your teammates.
Definitely doesn't hurt. And it's bizarre to see Russians come out and get so many penalties. It's uncharacteristic of them. They are a very clean team, and that's legitimate. It's not that they get any favorable calls. They're just a very clean team, and they're very respectful.
All right, timeout called. So the score 3-2. Looks like a timeout was called by Boston. What would you do if you were Boston right now? You're Boston's coach. You're in the huddle, in the pit, and with them. What are you trying to impress upon your players?
Well, it seems like Philly's kind of taking any bunker they want at this moment. They've been taking the snake corner or Dorito corner pretty consistently, and the Russians are notoriously good for shooting, awesome lanes on break, and they're just not getting any G's off break, and that's hurting them pretty bad right now. So
you try to focus on getting some G's off the break?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think it's they're getting outplayed as far as breakouts or strategy.
Or man-to-man.
Right, or man-to-man. It's just the fact that Philly is shooting them on break, and they're not getting any kills, and that's, that one-man advantage can mean a game.
Oh, for sure. All right, so we're looking out there who they bringing out. Looks like they're putting is that a hybrid line?
Looks like you have Mishka out there.
Britnikov.
Little Bear. I'm not sure who that is in the middle. Is that Matt Blonsky, perhaps?
Yeah, Matt Blonsky.
So, yes, I think this is a hybrid line. Yeah, Matt Blonsky, Bart Blonsky, Berdnikov, and Mishka so far, and Kirill joining them now.
We see in the pits right there, there's Justin Rabikov, young emerging pro.
It's a very fast line the Russians have in right now. Don't be surprised if they take some big bunkers on break.
How did looking at this format, or I'm sorry, not the format, but the layout of the field. And as we started this break right here, it's about 5 seconds, but it's been a tactical, really kind of crafty layout. You know, I mean, it's a bloodbath down the Dorito side, but on the Snake side, you really got to play smart, man.
Absolutely. Looked like Kirill left early and got away with it. Maybe he tagged up, but Berdnikov dying on break.
All right, so now rolling their guns, the Russians trying to stop. Looks like Fedorov getting into Snake 1. So Fedorov getting into Snake 1. For Philly, here comes Jason Edwards up that Dorito side of the field. And you see now rolling his gun, Fedorov trying to get a shot on the back Russian player.
Mishka moves up to the little cake, Dorito 1.
Boom, there goes Fedorov. Fedorov now all the way in the 50-yard line. Russian player hears it from his coach. Immediately tries to pick Fedorov up. You know, it's interesting to think, Boston and Philly have not played each other except for the first game. So this was their first matchup here. So This is the first time Fedorov's played against his old team. So he's probably going to want to really, make a statement.
There's probably going to be a little bit of a mind trip for him as Mishka's moving up and just shooting.
Looks like O'Rourke.
Right.
O'Rourke getting shot cross field. Oh, and Fedorov dying out of his bunker.
Mishka came up, cleared out. Jason Edwards out of the Dorito. Also shot their tower guy.
So with 50 seconds left to go here, they're trying to get this last point scored. Looks like they're definitely going to have time to do it.
Minor penalty assessed on, looks like Kirill, that last point for the Russians.
So that's going to stay up there because they're going to win this point. And
it's one-on-one, actually, Matty.
Oh, it's Dimma. It's Dimmo. Is it one-on-one? Does he
maybe
see
not.
him?
Sounds like a little bit of counter-coaching from the audience.
Counter-coaching from the audience. I'll just try to get you. All right, so Dimma able to handle over here on this Snake side of the field as Fedorov got shot out of his bunker once he got to the 50-yard line. All right, so we actually have an interview with Dimma talking about the Moscow grind.
We have a practice from Monday to Friday, 5 days a week. Usually it starts at midday, maybe at 2 o'clock, maybe 3, because half of the team is students, regular students, and in the morning they go to the university, and after that all of them go to the practice, and me too. It's 1 hour fitness practice. After that we have 45 minutes break. After that 15 minutes warm up again. After that paintball skills, 3 hours in a row. Sometimes it's different practice. For example, in Monday it's breakout, and Tuesday it's initiative, some gunfighting. And Friday it's just matches. We just play.
Yeah, so it's a very interesting kind of thing that the Russians have done. I think really helped take paintball to continuing. It's all about what have we done now. Where can we go with this? It looks like a minor penalty on both teams. So it looks like Philly got a penalty on that last point as well. So 21 seconds left. Get a shot of some of our crew here, working hard to bring you this coverage. World Cup. This is the 2008 PSP World Cup. I'm Eddie Marshall, lucky enough to have Colt Robertson from X Factor sitting in with us and giving us some paintball knowledge.
That's weird that they have a minute 30 on a penalty up there. It must have been assessed when there was no players left to pull.
I wonder what happened.
I'm not sure.
Might have been maybe a pit penalty or something. Somebody coming out without their goggles on.
Could have been.
All right, so 21 seconds left. Definitely could score. Or 27 seconds left. 2 minor penalties on each team. See the breakout here. Let's see if they try to break wide and just let it go quickly. No, up the gut. Here come the Russians.
Looks like J-Rab in the X there.
Yeah, I think that might be J-Rab up in the X, and he tries to get back, comes back to the X box.
He realized he lost one of his players and decided to come back to zone it up. It looks like there's going to be no point on this.
Yeah, so as we wind down the first half, our score heading into halftime is going to be all tied up with Boston Red Legion fighting for their lives right now. If they lose this game right here, their World Cup trip is done for. See Pat Roberts, his loader fell off, trying to dive into that bunker. Either that or he's turned it into a paint grinder.